Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Tyne Valley, Prince Edward Island. Game number 2 of the 2026 Maritime Under-16 AAA Hockey Championships. In this tournament's Battle of Nova Scotia, a rematch of the province's semi-final. The Kings, the champion of that province, going up against the Cabot Highlanders, the regular season champions. On that merit, qualifying to the Maritime Championship, having led all teams in the U16 AAA League this year with 54 points, and while only 8 points separate them in the standings, each team with 2 wins apiece against one another heading into this one and what could be the final meeting of the season between these two Nova Scotian juggernauts. You're watching High Button Sports here this afternoon. My name is Luke Diamond. Thank you for joining us here to kick off Thursday's action. We got a trio of games on the docket for you today. Later this afternoon, the Eastern Dukes will look to advance to 2-0 in their Maritime Championships, going up against the St. John Vitoes opening their tournament. The Cabot Islanders are back in action here later tonight, where they'll face off against the host team and the defending Maritime champions, the Western Rebels, as the Dukes, or rather the Kings, take the ice here just before puck drop. Once the Highlanders come out, we will have the national anthem and get underway in today's action. Last time these teams met was almost 2 weeks ago to the day. The Kings and the Highlanders met in each of their final round-robin games of the Nova Scotia Championship. The Highlanders were in the tournament regardless of the result as the top-ranked regular season team, but the Kings, fighting for their playoff lives, pulled out the 4-2 win in that game. 2 goals in that one from Ben Fraser of the Kings. But the Highlanders will look for some revenge today, and what could be the rubber match between these teams on the season, as we throw it down to the ice for the national anthem.
Taking on the Cabot Highlanders. Officials for today's game include referees Brett Curran and Ryan Young, joined by linesmen Harrison Ramsey and Charlie McGinnis. At this time, would you please rise if you're able to? As well, remove your hats and caps for the playing of our national anthem.
And every win counts here at these Maritime Championships. 4-0, obviously ideal, but at least a target of 3-1 here in the 5-team field. Not much margin for error here in these 5 days in Tyne Valley, and both of these teams will get going here to begin their championships against familiar opponents, as we meet our starting goalies. In between the pipes for Cabot, Hugh Burchill, second in the league in both goals against average and save percentage this season, not to mention a 2-0 record at the Nova Scotia Provincials. And in net for HC Kings, George Mihinick. himself coming off a strong provincials, is 9-6 on the season, and a 908 save percentage. That is good for 8th in the league as we are underway here as these two teams get their Maritime Championships going. It's Cabot in with it down low to start things off. James Boyle, the defenseman, threw it in down low and will chase his own dump in beneath the goal line. James Macquarie also in there providing pressure for Cabot. It is going to be airmailed up over the center ice logo here. The line's pretty bright here, and the arena shined up in Tyne Valley. Told before the tournament about half an inch of ice was shaved off the surface here at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center here in Western PEI before the tournament, so perhaps you can see the Tornadoes and the Rebels logos a bit more prominently. And important for the linesmen, all the red and blue lines in the middle of the ice. Couple good shifts here for Cabot to start off this game. Andrew Jones cuts in, looking short side on Mihinick, but he hugs his post there well. And the Kings are up across their own blue line with it. Thrown to the middle of the ice, and there's Mason Cole with the puck, number 11 in the black jersey for Kings. Will lead the rush up, and a huge hit thrown there. Andrew Jones laying the body on a Kings player, and he'll get some love from his bench as that's floated in from distance from Mason Cole. Well, the last time we saw Mason Cole put the puck in the net for Kings was all the way back in the provincial championship final in Nova Scotia. Kings pulled off the win in that one by a 4-3 score. They needed a shootout to do it, and it was Mason Cole with 4 minutes and 7 seconds left on the clock. Let a snapper go from just inside the blue line and beat the Martello Buccaneers goaltender over the high glove. And that tied things up at 3 and sent the game to overtime and eventually a shootout that the Kings would win. Now Kings will look to put some pressure on themselves here deep in Cabot territory. But the Highlanders are back up the other way. That's Soren Nadasti wrapping that puck around the boards in the Kings zone. And it's skated up the other way by Cade Romaine for Kings. So the Highlanders will have to start off again in their own zone. Nadasti was in behind Burchill's net. Off the right toe of Rolly McCaddy for the Highlanders. He's going to throw that in deep. He gets some dump and chase out there from Eric Stort as both teams get some fresh legs here on the ice. The way this tournament runs, it'll be 3 20-minute periods in the Nova Scotia Provincial Championship. There was 2 15-minute periods and a 20-minute period in the third frame. As far as my knowledge, the PEI New Brunswick finals were full 20s all the way through. Rather than a provincial championship tournament, though, they were best of 7 series. The Dukes and the Vitoes winning their respective provinces, as the Cabot Highlanders will go to the penalty box for the first time this afternoon. Ryan McGinnis will get 2 for cross-checking, and the Kings will go to the power play for the first time in their tournament. They win the draw cleanly back. It was Jordan Jackman, the captain of this Kings team, who won the face-off. But Cabot attempts to clear it. It's held in at the line by Jaden Weston. Weston and Jackman both had goals in that provincial final shootout as Jackman let it go from the circle. Cut to the middle of the ice, and Weston will pick it up in the high slot. Goes up top for Ben Frazier. Cross ice up over the backhand stick of Jackman. Providing pressure down low is Boyle on the penalty kill. And rolls back to Jackman, who will go up top for Jacob Amiro. Amiro into the chest protector of Hugh Burchill, who gets an early test here on the power play. Kings power play this season, 8th in the league of 12 teams, 14.5% efficiency. Although, and while I don't have exact numbers, they were scoring a little bit more often on the man advantage at provincials. However, they go up against the Cabot Highlanders penalty kill of 92.8%. That is the best metric in the Nova Scotia under 16 AAA league. As it's caught up off the face-off and sent to center ice by Cabot, and taking a tumble was William McClellan, who was giving pursuit, but will run some more time off the clock for Cabot. Romaine will stop up at his own blue line. He mishandled the puck there as he was looking to shake off his penalty killer, as Jones is the first man in for Cabot. Alexander Slavuta got it all the way to the far blue line. He'll have to stop him. We'll throw it in behind the net, and Burchill will stop it. Comes out to center ice for William McClellan. And he'll get it down a little further and afford his team a change. 32 seconds left to go here on this initial Kings power play. They got one, maybe two shots here so far on this man advantage. Just over 4 minutes into the game as well, and yet to see our first goal. We had 6 goals in the tournament opener last night when the Dukes beat the Rebels for a 5th straight game by a 5-1 score. Colin McCormick, their captain, with another incredible performance. 2 goals and 2 assists in that one. And here in the island anyway, in such a highly touted rivalry, I don't think we've seen that before in the 3 years of this under-16 AAA Hockey League. The Dukes winning 5 against their provincial rivals, but they pull it off again here to open their Maritime Championships. It's going to be covered up in the net by Mihinick. And the Highlanders will get a draw in the Kings zone, but Kings will back up and out with it. Emi Rose in behind his net. Rather, that's Weston. Going to flick that up to his teammate and taken up through the middle of the ice here by Cole. He was going up against a pair of defensemen, including Daniel Landry, named the top defenseman in the Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA Hockey League this year, as well as the top defenseman in the Provincial Championship tournament a couple weeks ago. It's a 2-on-2 rugby scrum in the far corner to the right of Mihinick. A third player from each team will jump in as it's taken away by the Highlanders in low, and a penalty coming up on the play. It'll go against the Kings as Culp touched up. Both referees with their arm in the air on that one. And it looks like Camden Chisholm is the guilty party on that one for HC Kings. It's a hooking call, and for the first time today, the Cabot Highlanders will go to the power play. A 21.4% success rate on the man advantage, 3rd best in the league. Highlanders not a team that scores a lot, but when they do, that power play really comes in handy for them, as that is backhanded into the Kings bench. There's a foreign object line on the ice, looks like just a glove off the player's bench for Kings. So we'll try that face-off again here to the right of Mihinick. Kings penalty kill, tied for 3rd in the league, just over 87% for them on the stat sheet. And it's one back. It'll go to Andy Murray at the line, and now walking in, scores! And that'll open the scoring here at the Maritime Championships. William McClellan goes high blocker, and it's 1-0 Cabot. And he had lots of time and space there to pick his spot. William McClellan, 2nd on the team in scoring this year for Cabot. 12 goals and 27 points on the campaign. Their highest scoring forward as well. And a big first goal here on the power play for Cabot here in this Maritime Championship Game 1. The Kings will look for a response, and they'll come over the line, albeit offside, as LeBlanc was a little overzealous on that one. So McClellan gets the scoring going. He had a goal and assist in 3 games played at the Provincial Championships, and member 2. Looking to dig a few more out of the sleeve here this weekend with the Maritime Championship on the line. Face-off is won back by Cabot and by Murray up through the middle of the ice and off the backhand blade of Cade Tenard, who was first down there. Murray the slapper and a bit of a knuckler from the point. Turned aside by Mihinick, and the rebound, that time for Matthew Beaton on the far side, was well wide of the cage. That'll roll in behind the goal. Kaysen Lively couldn't clear it, although he'll get it up the other way, and Charlie LeBlanc will gain center ice with it. Tried to flick it in, but he fanned on the dump and chase attempt, and it's high up off the glass there for Murray. That'll roll into the glove of Birchill. He'll keep play going. Murray hits the brakes in behind his net, and up for the right wing. That was intended for Tenard, but was a little bit in front of him. So it'll be an icing, a charge to Cabot, so they're unable to get the change in. So some tired players will head out onto the ice here. 13:37 to go here in the first period. Just moments ago, William McClellan opening the scoring. for the Cabot Highlanders in this one. It's high up off the glass there from Kings. The Jackman line, top line for the Nova Scotia champions out there right now. Daniel Landry will chip that out of danger for Cabot. It's up through the middle. Lucas Havercourt throw that right on Mahinick and up into the mesh here. And out of play with 13-17 to go here in the first period. 1-0 Cabot leads on High Button Sports. Face off to the left of Mahinick in the Kings zone. And Jackman comes out of that one, gets it up to Matthew Thompson. Thompson, one of the leading scorers in the provincials. He had 7 assists in 5 games in member 2. So he's had a knack for setting up his teammates here lately. Out there on the line with Jackman, who himself had 4 goals in that tournament, including 1 in the final. Both teams will get a change. That puck flew up into the mesh and out of play. And it'll be inside the Cabot zone. Just about 7 minutes into this one here. The Highlanders, first of 2 games today. They take the Western Rebels here later tonight in Tyne Valley. As it's shot down the length of the ice, and it was a foot race there, but Jacob Amiro got on his horse and got down there for the Kings and secured the icing for his team. Well, Amiro had the winning goal the last time these teams faced off at the Provincials. It was a 4-2 final. Amiro had the 3rd Kings goal on the power play in the second period of that one. And is he able to keep it in? According to the linesman, he is. But the play will make its way back out the center anyway. It's shot harshly off the top of the glass here in Tyne Valley by Amiro. And it ricochets up into the netting. So we get another stoppage of play here. And a slow going last minute or two in terms of whistles. Ethan Lemoyne taking the face-off against the goal scorer McClellan, and it's won back by Lemoyne for Kings. D-to-D pass finds Amiro, will swing it back across the other side of the ice onto the tape of Scott Corkum. Corkum spins off his pressure there as Sam Murray was hanging off his back. Alexander Slavuta gained the zone for Kings, but they're caught in their offside. They have to tag up. And Landry will go up the ice with it. Will hit his man at center, at the circle, and giving chase. And taking a bump there was Andrew Jones. Jones has had a physical start to this game for the Highlanders on his first shift. He laid out a King right to the ice and is getting involved there with a lot more bumping and going here in this first period as Jones attempted to throw that in a little deeper into the zone, but it's picked off by Lemoyne. And here comes Slavuta for the Kings on the blocker's side. And Burchill will hang on to that with 11:49 on the clock here in period 1. Five teams in this tournament here in Tyne Valley this weekend. It'll be a round-robin format. Every team plays each other once until the gold medal game out of those top 2 teams after the round robin is said and done. That'll be a puck drop of 12 p.m. on Sunday here in Tyne Valley. Only 8 points separate all 5 of these teams in the standings. It's been very close at the top of the Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA Hockey League this year. And it'll be especially close here in this tournament as Cabot gets some pressure going on in front. It was lost in the feet of Ryan McGinnis, and the Kings will get it out of harm's way. There's a pair of Cabot forecheckers in behind the net, but Kings will get it up the center ice. Makar Sidoric spins around on the second attempt, will get inside the Cabot zone, but that'll go way up high again and into the mesh and out of play with just over 11 to play in the first period here in Tyne Valley. The Dukes and Vitoes up after this one, a 3:30 p.m. puck drop. And tonight, the Highlanders and Rebels, all the games this weekend, we're pleased to have for you on High Button Sports all weekend long, all the way until the Maritime Champion is declared. The 3rd Maritime Championship. Basin took the competition in 2024, needing overtime in that one against the Eastern Dukes. And then last year, the host Western Rebels of this tournament beat the Highlanders in the final, which was hosted by the Highlanders in Port Hawkesbury. It's a slap by Amiro toward the net, and an alert left pad save by Burchill. Tied up in the corner is Nadasti, getting some pushes and shoves by Charlie LeBlanc. He's going to need some assistance from one of his forwards. And Cabot will go for a skate up and out of the zone with it. That's Spencer Poirier all the way up the ice with it, through the feet of LeBlanc. Exchanges of possession in the neutral zone. And at the end of a shift was Brett Boyd who will throw that into the Kings zone. LeBlanc up through the center, throws that high into the zone. Andy Murray first back to it for Cabot. And up the wall for McGinnis. It's held in at the line, a shot from distance, and that took a rapid change of direction as it struck LeBlanc in front of the Highlanders net on what was otherwise a hard shot going in off the tape of Alexander Glover from the Kings point. Kings will get some sporadic changes in. They're going to keep pouring on the forecheck here on the Highlanders, who are pinned deep in their own territory here. It's up to McCaddy, who will finally get it up the center ice for the Highlanders. That is thrown wide of the net. Rebound out to Stewart on the far side, and Jackman will bump his pressure off it. And here comes Jordan Jackman, the Provincials MVP and second-team All-Star in the Nova Scotia League. Looked for the centering pass there, but he was surrounded by a pair and through to the middle of the ice for Frazier, who snapped that wide of the glove side. Second attempt looked to go off of Murray in front, and it's a scramble in front. And Burchill will finally find that after a series of chances quickly generated by HC Kings. Ben Frazier had 3 goals in the provincial championships in member 2. Possesses a very deadly shot for this team if he's out there on that line with Jackman this weekend, who's been finding him a lot lately. Draw here to the left of Burchill, and it's won by the Kings. Frazier is going to throw that to the corner, and it's played up for Havercourt of Cabot. It's going to bounce up and over his stick and out. Second attempt up the middle. Cohen Phillips was posted up in front of the scorekeeper's bench. And now Daniel Landry will walk it up through the middle of the ice. Landry leading the team in scoring this year. 8 goals and 28 points on the season for Cabot. And carrying it in, intended for Thompson, who was charging the net for Kings. Will roll around the back. Havercourt on the right wing couldn't pick it up, and it is sent down the length of the ice. No icing on the play, and the Highlanders will completely change up. Macquarie throwing the body in behind the net for the Highlanders on the forecheck, but Jackman will settle things down for the Kings, who himself has been out there for a while for his team. And that's thrown up the middle now. A one-on-one opportunity for him. On the backhand, a bit of a nifty floater there off the tape of Murray. Sam Murray tries to walk it back out front. Second attempt now. Macquarie jamming at it at the back door. Also out there on that line is Andrew Jones, as the Highlanders putting in their bid for a 2-0 lead here in the second half of the first period. Throwing up the wall. Amiro returns the favor in the neutral zone. Goes back and forth some, but now Jones will carry it into the Kings zone. Andrew Jones going in one-on-one, and Siderick will knock him off the puck. Sent out for Nadasti, who will return that into the zone. That is off a shin pad of a King, and Cole will throw that into the Highlanders' corner. Jones on the puck battle and held at the line by Lemoyne. Lemoyne on the center, intended for Mason Cole. Cole throws the body along the wall in that puck battle with Sam Murray. And the backhand attempt fails as the Highlanders tried to clear it. Mason Cole almost walked in on that one unopposed for his team. And it comes out to Scott Corkum for the Kings. Some tired Highlanders will change up. 7:02 to play in the first period. William McClellan with the only goal thus far in the game. He scored in the power play, and it's 1-0 Cabot. The Highlanders looking to get some revenge here in the Maritime Championships, as they lost in the final last year, as mentioned, to the Western Rebels, who this year are the hosts. There's a good shot there by Slavuda for the Kings a moment ago. It was kicked aside by Burchill, and they're not done, as Cole will return that to the point. It's Cade Romaine who will go D-to-D to Corkum. He will sidestep his man and walks into the top of the circle. Second attempt, and Burchill will shut off the far side of the goal mouth. Second attempt by Romaine, and way over his net. Lemoyne now blocked by his defenseman in front of the net. And Burchill is said to be sharp on a few of these high danger scoring chances for the Kings, who are really pushing for the tying goal here in this first period. Savuda will have that bounce over his stick. And Romaine will gather it at center ice. Highlanders will change and will carry it himself. Romaine, the wrister, that is off the dash in behind the Highlanders net. And now up the middle, a breakaway opportunity almost, as Sam Murray couldn't quite corral that. He's going to dump Romaine in behind the Kings net. Now a chance here for Cabot. McClellan joined him on that forecheck in behind the net. Will be kept in at the line by Murray, but it is blocked and up and over the glass. Send out a play. 5:44 to play here in the first period. Cabot still up 1-0 here in the Maritime U16 Championships on High Button Sports. It is won by Kings, but immediately taken away by the Highlanders. It fell in behind Mihinick. He's going to lie down on his back as a pair of Cabot forwards were buzzing around the net front. But it's covered up just in the nick of time. A good alert play by Mason Cole, it looked like as well, getting in behind his goaltender. And the draw will come to the right of the Kings net. So inches away from a 2-0 lead for the Highlanders early in this hockey game. Kings will win it in their own zone, but taken away again. McClellan to the net. Bounces loose in the slot area and punched out of the zone by Nick Grancelli. Grancelli returns to the lineup for Kings. He missed the provincial championships with an injury. So HC Kings back to a full lineup here for the first time in a few weeks here at these Maritimes. Just at the right time, if you were to ask them. Dancing around with it, that's Landon Culp. He's killing off some time as he is waiting for his teammates to change off the bench. It'll roll across center ice and it's deflected down low by McCaddy. That's corralled by Jaden Weston. Weston named a second-team All-Star in the Nova Scotia League this year for Kings. Him and Jordan Jackman were the two league award winners, both of them second-team All-Stars this year. A 20-7-6 record on the campaign for HC Kings. Good for 6th in the 12-team standings. But of course, the big prize, their Nova Scotia Championship, which they beat the Martello Buccaneers 4-3 in a shootout here a couple weeks ago in Member 2. Now going up against the top-ranked regular season team, the Cabot Highlanders, who in 33 games this year only lost 7 times. They went 2-2 at the provincial championships. They beat the V's of Dartmouth and the host Cape Breton Jets, but dropped their matchups against the Bucks and the Kings, and they're looking for a little bit of revenge against the Kings today. It's bumped down along through the neutral zone was Nash Neufeld. He'll get some love there from the Highlanders bench. Havercourt gives chase to Scott Corkum, and he's going to take a penalty here, so the Kings will go to their second power play of the hockey game. Once the Highlanders touch up, and there's a little bit of a skirmish in behind the play. There's a King and a Highlander exchanging some shoves, and now Amiro will jump in there for the Kings in defense of his teammate. Looked like a hooking call in behind the play. Kings are 0-1 on the power play here so far in this game. And what a time to come up with their first one of the Maritime Championships. It'll be Havercourt in the box for 2 or less for the Highlanders, and the draw comes all the way down to the left side of your screen. 3:31 remaining in the opening period. There will be a Zamboni break in between the frames here as it's sent down the length of the ice and past the goaltender Mihinick, immediately cleared by the Highlanders, who will lay on some pressure here on the power play quarterback Weston. It's going to come to a rolling start from his own end, and up through the middle with it is Amiro. 3 forward, 2 defensemen attack here for the Kings on their power play, and so far the Highlanders have their number. They kept it out of their zone for much of the first Cabot Highlanders penalty kill, and 40 seconds into this Kings power play, it's a little more of the same here from the defending Maritime runner-up team. Now here comes Kings in low. That's Matthew Thompson. Plays it up to Jackman on the close side. Amiro. And unable to handle it at the line was Weston. It's up through the middle and kicked up to his skate was Jones. Doesn't have a lot of room and will throw that high up and over the Kings net. Jackman will stop up just inside his blue line and will shake off his man and go for a skate. Here comes the Kings captain, Jackman. Back to Frazier. Cross ice and off the bench is Corkum, who takes a tumble near the far side circle in the Highlanders zone. Jackman is able to hold it. He's waiting for some help though as everybody for the Kings retreated to center ice. Frazier came in but was unable to hold the line, and now the defenseman Landry thought about going for a rush, but that's going to take a hop off his tape. And deep into the Kings zone, another 20 seconds to play on the man advantage for HC Kings, and a shot in front. A good setup came to Merrick Stewart, but he doesn't get all the mustard he wanted to on that close range one-timer and put it wide. Corkum up through the middle to Ethan Lemoyne, second unit out here at the tail end of the Kings power play. Drop back for Corkum, who is unable to hold the line there as William McClellan with a great use of his stick on the defensive. And we will return to 5-on-5 action here. So the Highlanders penalty kill dominant here so far in this hockey game. Cole let that go off a skate. Looked like it hit Landry and it rolled in behind the net, where Hugh Burchill will freeze it along the right side of the cage with a minute and 13 to play here in the opening frame. Still a 1-0 lead here in favor of the Highlanders, who will kill off another penalty. And now a draw coming to the right of Burchill. Lemoyne in there to take the ozone draw for the Kings. He's going to win it back there, although marginally. And the Highlanders wingers will come out of it with the puck. They'll punch their way into the Kings zone all the way down. Now a bit of a tie-up on the close side as Amiro got tied up with Jones. Back for the Highlanders D, Sawyer Nadasti. Up across the red line and then the blue. Nadasti to the middle of the ice. A good individual effort to cut in and attempt to snap that one in low under the glove of Mahinnick. But equally, the Kings goaltender has been sharp to start off his Maritime Championship here in Tyne Valley. 47 seconds to play here in the first frame now. Once the Highlanders change, it'll come to the right of the Kings net. That's Macquarie in to take the draw. He'll go up against Jackman. And Jackman with a big D-zone win. Amiro will stutter step in behind his net. And a bit of a saucer and some good hand-eye coordination there by Matthew Thompson, but a little too much of a roll on that one to settle it down for Kings. Nadasti goes cross ice and up through the middle where McCaddy will give chase to it, but he was on the wrong side of center. And we'll get a draw coming back all the way down to the Highlanders zone. So same two players in the face-off. Macquarie will go up against Jackman. Jordan Jackman wins it again on the offhand. Amiro at the point, blocked in front. Nadasti got in front of the shot along the ice. It's a 2-on-2 battle in the corner, and Jackman will muscle his way out of pressure, but couldn't hang on to it as Cabot's Cohen Phillips is hanging off his back, although he did so illegally as the arm is in the air against the Highlanders. So Thompson will skate around. He'll kill off the rest of the period. So we will begin the third frame with a full 2-minute power play for the Kings. But after 20 minutes of play, William McClellan on the man advantage for Cabot to open the scoring here in the Maritime Championships here in Tyne Valley. 1-0 the lead for the Highlanders. You're watching the 2026 Under 16 Maritime Hockey Championships here in beautiful Tyne Valley, PEI. Stick around. We'll return in about 10 or 15 minutes or so for the second period. And welcome back to High Button Sports, home of the 2026 Maritime Under-16 AAA Hockey Championships. We're in Tyne Valley today, Game 2 of the tournament, and 20 minutes into this one, the matchup between the Nova Scotian representatives, the Highlanders, find themselves up by a goal heading into the middle frame. William McClellan with the tournament opener for his team. And it's always a good game between these clubs. Kings took their last meeting, but in the regular season, the Highlanders did capture the season series. Started all the way back in February. Cabot took their first meeting in Port Hawkesbury, a 4-3 win. The Kings came up big the next day, though, with a 2-0 win of their own in Port Hawkesbury. And then the Highlanders beat the Kings again all the way back on March 8th by a 4-1 score. As the puck drops in the second period, Cabot in the white uniforms to the right side of your screen, and the Kings in the black and brown to your left, as that is shot up and hard off the center ice faceoff 6 seconds into the new period. Came from a Highlanders defenseman, and on the dump-in attempt, went right into the bench. So that draw will come all the way back down to the Cabot zone. And it is a Kings power play to start off the third frame. They went 0 for 2 on a pair of opportunities in the first, but they took another penalty, the Highlanders did anyway, as the buzzer went in the first period. And Jordan Jackman will race up the middle with the puck. Plays with a lot of pace, Jackman, and he will zip up to the far side hash marks and leave it in for Frazier on the far side. And it's immediately taken away again and sent down 200 feet by the Cabot Highlanders, who have been dialed in to start this game and this tournament on the penalty kill. Remember, they have statistically the best penalty kill in the league this year, as Amiro will carry it in. Sends that toward the middle of the ice, and slapping out with the backhand was Thompson. He missed, and the puck will roll wide as it's thrown toward Hugh Burchill in the Highlanders' net. It was snapped hard and high by Frazier from the point, but it will be corralled by the Cabot stopper. Another minute and 1 second to play on this third Kings power play of the afternoon. Game 1 of 4 for each of these teams, maybe 1 of 5 if they play well in the first 4 and get the results. The Highlanders try to clear it, but are denied there twice by some on-the-looking Kings forecheckers. There's a tie-up down the corner. Cade Romaine was all the way down there for Kings, who will play the net from position. Cross-ice pass attempted there for Mason Cole. He'll throw it up the middle, and it's off a skate and out of the zone. Corkum will settle it down at center ice and dumps it in, but immediately picked off by Andy Murray, and that will be sent down the length of the ice. So now 20 seconds left in the Highlanders penalty. Mahinick took a tumble as he was returning to his crease. He had teed it up for his defenseman. Now Ethan Lemoyne will cut through the neutral zone and now into the slot area, and he went in 1-on-3 against some Highlanders and went to the backhand but lost it. Shot way up high by Cole, and it's off the blocker of Burchill and off the ceiling here at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center for a whistle. So only 5 seconds left to play here on this Kings power play. In danger of falling to 0 for 3 to start off their game. Lively in to take the draw for the power play unit. It'll be into the feet of Nadasti and return him behind the net for Brett Boyd. It'll elude both of them as the 5th Highlander returns to the ice, and we're back to even strength action. Rolling in behind the net is Boyd. He's going to get tied up there by Nash Neufeld, who will force the turnover for Kings. Kings will race up the wall with it as a pair of Highlanders are jamming at it in their own zone. Nobody can quite establish possession to make a play, but Lively will roll it in behind the net, and Nadasti is up through the middle of the ice with it. Sawyer Nadasti across the Tornado logo at center ice here in Tyne Valley and secures the dump in. Macquarie now in behind the cage. Doesn't have a lot of help there, but Cohen Phillips will race over to get it. It's held at the line by Landry, who's fresh off the bench, and is blocked in front, and the Kings will get it out. Chip back in on the backhand by Landry. He'll return to his post at the blue line, and Neufeld will slap it in, and will get a Kings change as well on that play. Only a few minutes here in the second period. Still 1-0 Highlanders, but it's taken away by some fresh Kings off the bench. Chisholm tried to race to the middle of the ice. We'll send it back to Weston. Sends it high and wide and hard off the glass. Cut into the middle of the ice there as Landon Colby got tied up there with the Highlander. And there's a tie-up and a penalty coming up now against Kings. So Cabot will go to their second man advantage of the hockey game. That one going to be a hold against the Kings as Makar Sidoruk makes his way to the penalty box. So 16:36 to go here in the second period. And the Cabot Highlanders scored on their first attempt on the power play. Goal coming from that man right there, William McClellan, who won the faceoff to himself and set up Landry. Landry played it down low, takes the return pass at the top of the circle, and up top for Murray. Andy Murray goes to Landry. Down into the corner. Power play running through Landry here so far, here in the second period. Up top for William McClellan on the close side. Murray from range is going to be caught up as Mahinick had the sight line. And Havercourt for the Highlanders kind of had to duck out of the way on that one as that puck took air heading toward the Kings net. So a couple fresh legs on for the Kings penalty kill here. Minute 34 still to play on this power play opportunity for the Cabot Highlanders. And it's won by Jordan Jackman out there on the penalty kill now for HC Kings. And Corkum will wheel behind the net, and it flubs off the stick of Murray and is down the ice. Burchill will tee it up for Andy Murray. He'll quarterback things out of his zone for Cabot. William McClellan up the way with speed, joined by Havercourt to the right, takes the pass, tries to slip it in low, in the rebound shot out to Landry, who couldn't get the second attempt in on net as Mahinick was pushing over to close off the post. Now Murray will fight it off as Mahinick made the second save on that and got it all the way out to Jordan Jackman, who will kill some time off the clock and carry it all the way down to the Cabot Highlanders zone. Landry will go down the other way with it. Jones to his left as Landry will wheel wide into Jones down the center, and Mahinick will take a bump as Andrew Jones got a little too close for comfort on top of the Kings net down there. Looks like Mahinick's okay. The net was dislodged on the play. I don't believe there will be another penalty as a result. The Highlanders stuck in a quick 5-10 second timeout before the face-off as the linesmen were rearranging the nets and getting it back on its moorings. They have another 37 seconds to play on this, their second power play of the game. As Cade Tanar is in to take the draw, the second unit out there for Cabot. Into the feet of Rolly McCaddy, back to Tenard, and all the way to the point for Nadasti. Throwed it crossways to Boyd, and the pass was fanned on in front, and the Kings are down in numbers on the penalty kill. Weston will wheel wide. He's joined there by Lively, who's in the slot area. Weston will corner it, but the Highlanders are quick to get it back into their possession. They still have 13 seconds left on the power play, as Brett Boyd thought about skating it up, but has to retreat. Comes to the close side for McCaddy, who retrieves it at the red line. And Tenard dumps it in deep. It takes a big hit from Lively. Sounded like the bench wanted a call, but nonetheless, we return to 5-on-5. So a big penalty kill here for the Kings, who still trail by one here to Cabot in the second period. The Highlanders aren't done. Let it go from the point and snagged by the trapper of Mahinick for the save with 14:21 on the clock here in the second period. First of three games on the bill here today in Tyne Valley. The Eastern Dukes looking to build on their day one win against the Rebels yesterday against the St. John Vitoes in our next matchup at 3:30. And tonight the Cabot Highlanders are back at it. We'll play the host Western Rebels for the primetime crowd here at 7:30 here in Thursday's action at the Maritime U16 Hockey Championships in PEI. Backhand pass intent for Landry, got away from him. He'll slap it up the bumper and get it to center. Spencer Poirier tried to carry that in for Cabot, and it's up over the stick of Landry, who will throw the body on Thompson in behind the play. Chasing back to get is James Boyle, went up against Thompson, will leave it for Landry. The big defenseman will stop up in behind his net and looks to play it out. Landry failed on the first attempt out. Registered 5 points in 4 games at the Nova Scotia Provincial Championships. Landry, that included a pair of goals for the defenseman in that effort to win the top defenseman award at the Provincial Championships, as that was an arc of a puck way up high, somehow didn't contact the mesh. And play will continue on as Brett Boyd will skate it down. Joined there and looking for the drop to McClellan. It's going to evade him. And now Frazier is out with some speed. One-on-one battle with Nadasti, who will hustle back to carry that out of play. He's a slippery defenseman for Cabot, and he'll get it up to the far side and carried in by Sam Murray for the Highlanders. Murray first the puck in behind the net, forced the turnover, looking for that center to McClellan. It gets away from him, and it got out of the zone on Boyd, who fan on it. And now Mason Cole is a partial 2-on-1, lets the shot go, and off the blocker and wide as a pair of Highlanders players collided in behind the net, knocking off the net in the process. Burchill got out of the way, but not Boyd, who is hustling back to defend that 2-on-1. So both those players a little shaken up. Looks like they'll be okay, thankfully. And the faceoff will remain inside the Cabot zone with 12:37 to play here in the second period. Still a 1-0 lead for the Highlanders. Ethan Lemoyne takes the faceoff in the O zone for Kings. It's going to be won by his opposition, Macquarie, but Kings holds the line. That's off a leg in front on the point shot, though. Cade Romaine couldn't keep that in. It looks like a hand pass occurred on the play. So we'll get a face-off in the neutral zone somewhere. 12:27 to play in the second period. 1-0 for the Highlanders on High Button Sports. Face-off came in front of the Cabot Highlanders bench. It's won by the Kings. Pass was intended up for Slavuta, but some crossed wires there in the communication. So he's going to miss that, and the Highlanders are back up with it the other way. That's Andy Murray. Will coaster that into the zone. Romaine on the backhand, elevates it just enough to get the Cole along the wall, but it doesn't beat Cohen Phillips. He'll get it back and down low for Cabot as Havercourt gives chase. 1-on-1 there against Corkum. Slavuta, the winger, will come away with it, though, after that puck battle. Romaine, tap pass to Cole. He's across the line with it. Through some traffic, tried to use the screen of the body of Murray to fool Burchill, but too much to the perimeter, and the Highlanders will come down on a counterattack. It's Landry from an angle and a broken stick on the play, it looks like. So the shaft will lie on one side of the ice and the blade on the other, as Landry's going on against a stickless Lemoyne, and it misses Landry on the return pass, and props to Lemoyne for keeping the pressure up on the Cabot defenseman. Not giving him any space despite not having that stick. The Highlanders will start again as both teams get some changes in. And Tenard tried to flick that in, but it was a little too authoritative. Up and into the ceiling here and out of play. 11:14 on the clock. A close one here and not a lot of scoring to speak of, as both teams holding down control in front of their own net fronts. So not a lot of high danger scoring opportunities with one another so far. Lemoyne returning from the dressing room with a new stick after snapping his on the last play. As the faceoff is won back by Cabot. It's Matthew Beaton hustling back to get it. And it's taken away by Culp. So centering pass attempt now, looking for Chisholm in front of the Highlanders net, but it didn't find its way in front. Tenard lets a hard wrister go from the line. It's up and over the head of Mahinick, the goaltender. It rolls around to the close side for Camden Chisholm. Leaves that back for his defenseman, Weston. And the Kings will escape out of their zone. Nash Neufeld lets one go high and wide of the net again. Weston on the second attempt was going wide, but Birchill will reach out with the glove and will catch it for a stoppage of play. And a possible change here for his team on the long change second period, approaching the midway point of the frame. 10:34 to be exact on the clock. So the Cabot Highlanders will exercise their home ice advantage. Not literally, but in terms of having the opportunity to make the last change. You could see a few of the players eager to change on the Cabot bench, but as Kings was changing up, one of the coaches you could see was telling the players to hang back for a second and see who stepped onto the ice for the Kings, and that's when they sent out the fresh players. So we'll see in a lot of this chess matching going on all weekend long in Tyne Valley. So it's played up the wall for Havercourt. He got bunched up there against a Kings defenseman in there on the pinch, as Landry will chip that up off the glass and low. First man in is Cohen Phillips. And centering pass in front, that developed really quickly to Macquarie. Second attempt along the ice off the tape of Landry. Rolls back to Boyle, who holds the zone for Cabot. And the shot was blocked in front. Good active stick by Nash Neufeld of the Kings, as Havercourt will be pinned up along the wall. It's a 3-on-2 scrum. And walking out with it was Cabot and held in. The Highlanders will get in a change, as Kings will look to skate it out. Weston up across center ice, over the head of Lively, crowded by Birchill at the other end of the ice. Landry's going to leave that off for his teammate, but the Kings will force a turnover off a body in front. Poirier gives pressure, keeping the Kings to the perimeter here so far in this game, as Amiro lets a snapper go in to the glove of a Highlander defender in the slot area. He'll get it out to the red line. Poirier gives chase down the ice. Mahinick is out to get it. Mahinick joined there on the rush by Sam Murray against a pair of Kings as well. Now through the middle of the ice, took a ricochet off the inside of the skate blade of Poirier, and it will be held by Mahinick with 8:55 to go in the period, and still a 1-goal lead for Cabot here on High Button Sports. Draw to the left of George Mahinick, and we'll get a repeat of that as it rolled right into his glove off the face-off. William McClellan, the lone goal scorer, in to take the face-off against Jordan Jackman of the Kings. It's won by McClellan. Back to the point and played in. Centering pass for McClellan, and that was off a stick blade in front of the net, and it's a second attempt from Jones from the perimeter. Will roll back to Sam Murray in behind the Kings net, and they're still jamming at it as the Highlanders forwards get to work. Jones with a couple of really good looks there for the Port Hawkesbury base club, but couldn't put it home past Mahinick, who has been every bit as sharp as Birchill down in the Kings net. Thompson looked for the center. It's going to be broken up there by McClellan and slapped into the corner by Amiro. Some Kings will change up. Maybe a little bit of time and space here to work with if you're Cabot. Up the center ice and slapped down into the corner. Mahinick hustles out to tee it up for his defenseman. Amiro going up against Jones will step around him. Tried to chip it around the second guy in on the forecheck, and it's taken away. Stopped by Mahinick, and Amiro hustles back in beneath his goal line. And the pass out front to Jackman. Up across the center ice logo, and will chip it in at the end of a shift there for the Kings top line. 7.5 to play here in the second period now. Play will come out to the neutral zone. Corkum goes D to D and takes the return from Romaine. Was looking for his winger, but maybe didn't take a look there at first as it's sent down the ice for an icing call against HC Kings with now 7.5 on the clock. This will be the second Atlantics hosted here in the history of the Cavendish Farms Community Events Center in Tyne Valley. Opened up in 2022. And back in that year, they hosted the Atlantic Under-18 Female Hockey Championships. That was a tournament won by the Northern Subway Selects that year. And the second one being hosted this time around by the Western Rebels, who, after being formed 3 years ago, will host their first Atlantic Championship. They've taken part in 2, including winning the whole thing last year against Cabot in the final in Port Hawkesbury. So they'll look for back-to-back titles, but the Rebels, after losing last night, have an uphill battle ahead of them, as to give themselves the best chance of getting in, have to win out, albeit against some very strong teams, such as the 2 we're watching here right in front of us right now in the Kings and the Highlanders themselves, looking to make an impact. This is sent out front and is up through the middle and wide. Slapping at it from close range was McCaddy, but it was blocked in front by a Kings defender. And the Kings will get back possession in their own zone. And Mason Cole skated into the Cabot zone. Lets it go along the ice. Birchill sticks out the skate to knock it out of harm's way. And now a counterattack the other way. Some numbers forming here for the Highlanders. And they were across the line offside, as Cade Tenard was not happy about that, carrying it in, as his teammate Landry was a millisecond ahead of him on the rush up the ice on what would have been a good chance for the Highlanders. There's been no goals here in this period. The first one came back early in the first on a Cabot power play with 6.5 to play here in the middle frame. And it'll come back to the Kings defense. Weston up the ice, and a good read there from Brett Boyd, who'll pick it off, and a hustle back from Cohen Phillips to keep his team onside. And now Cabot will get set up. Shot from the top of the circle, and it hit the defender Sidoruk in front. Boyd holds the line. Nadasti from the point. That is high and wide off the glass, and for the third time back to Boyd on the point. Way up high in Nadasti, and in order to knock that down, he had to use a high stick. And that will result in a whistle against Cabot and a face-off outside with 6:08 on the clock here in the second period. Draw in front of the Highlanders bench. James Macquarie in there going up against Landon Culp. Macquarie wins it to his defenseman. Up the wall, past Phillips. And Weston will take a big hit by Phillips there in the corner. Now Culp will go in against Macquarie. Sidoruk throwing up the middle of the ice. Attempting to kick that out was Nick Rancelli off the left wing. It's going to roll back to Sidoruk. Going up against a pair of Cabot forecheckers there. Is bumped by Havercourt, as Weston and his unit is pinned there in his own zone by an aggressive Cabot forecheck on the center. Charging the net, rebound out to Macquarie. It's not covered yet. Second attempt. And Phillips had a great look at the top of the slot in Mahinik with some commotion unfolding in front of his net. Really battling to cover that puck up. He has to fix up some equipment after the stoppage of play. With 5:26 left, the teams will change up. 1-0 the score still in favor of Cabot on High Button Sports. One to nothing, still the score for the Highlanders here late in the second period. Goaltender for Kings, George Mahinik, dealing with some equipment issues. Looks like he was re-strapping up the back of his left pad. So that took An extra moment, a little bit of rest for everybody. Toward the end of the middle frame. Face-off came in the Kings zone, and it was won by the Kings. Now up the wall into the feet of Charlie LeBlanc, who had to come to a standstill to hold that puck up. It's going to be sent back into the corner by the Highlanders. Throwing there a hit along the wall. It's going to pop out to the middle to Sam Murray, but it's off a King and out to the opposing blue line. Chipped up the wall by Spencer Poirier and taken away by Amiro. The Kings defenseman will throw that high off the boards. Came to Nash Neufeld, looking for that give and go to Amiro. It got past everybody though, as Landry is tied up there with LeBlanc, and a vicious puck battle unfolding there between Landry and the Kings forward. Amiro gains the line, but it will hit a stick and go up into the rafters, and it'll play. 4:39 now left on the frame. Both of these teams boasting a lot of league award winners. Landry voted the league's top defenseman and a second-team All-Star for Cabot. Carter Kirsten, who is watching this game from the bench for the Highlanders, he'll likely start later tonight against the Rebels, voted the league's top goaltender and a first-team All-Star, while Burchill, who is currently playing the game for Cabot, is a second-team All-Star. Not often do you see that, the same team capturing both All-Star positions on the first and second teams in net. And the Kings had a couple of representatives in the awards as well. Jordan Jackman and defenseman Jaden Weston, both second-team All-Stars for their team this year. So they'll squirt out to the neutral zone. Macquarie returns that to the Kings zone. And he'll have to give chase the other way now. It's James Boyle. He's going to get tied up there with a Kings forechecker who took a tumble. It's Jordan Jackman going down pretty hard against the boards. Frazier picks it up on the far side wall. Back to the point for Romaine. Into the glove of Hugh Burchill, who continues to shut the door here for the Cabot Highlanders. A strong year for Burchill in between the pipes for Cabot. A 1.92 goals against average and a .935 save percentage. Both metrics good for second best in the league. The only goalie to best him in that department is his fellow Highlanders goaltender Carter Kirsten. Both goalies with only 3 losses in the regular season. But Burchill had one additional win. He was 14-3 on the year, as compared to Kirsten's 13-3. That's a 2-on-2 the other way. Shot from Sam Murray up into the glove of Mahenick, who himself has had a strong game for HC Kings. .342 now left in the period. Still only a 1-0 score. Approaching the end of 2 and only 1 goal to speak of thus far. McClellan in to take the draw, will win it in the O-zone for the Cabot Highlanders. Down into the corner, shot from Murray was wide. Boyd now returned to the wall as Sam Murray gets to work here for the Cabot Highlanders, and Jones pinned up along the boards there. Some good defending from Alexander Glover will stop it up and slow things down for his team. Now that's Romaine to the pass to his winger in front of the Cabot bench, and up through the middle of the ice is Lemoyne, the shot, and was looking for the blocker side on Burchill, but it was knocked aside. We've seen Lemoyne use that shot in recent games, especially in the provincial championships, and he can really cause some damage with that long-range wicked wrister. Sidoric returns to Weston. He'll go up through the middle of the ice, around his man, and secures the zone entry for Kings. Now the drop pass, look to the middle where Lemoyne was waiting, but it's going to hop up and over his head. It's picked up again by Weston the other way. We'll exchange passes with Cole as both teams get a change in with 2.5 remaining here in the second frame. Lemoyne bobbled that. Now came out to Cole. On the backhand, sends it in as he gained the line. No icing on the play according to the officials. And up the wall, Jameis Beaton sent it to the middle on the way out for Rolly McCaddy. McCaddy couldn't keep a handle on it as it fell back to Andy Murray at the end of a change for Cabot. He gains the line and will send it down in behind the Kings net for a change. Matthew Thompson rolling up the ice with it. As mentioned, 7 assists in 5 provincial championship games for Thompson. Tied for the tournament lead in scoring with Hudson Crawley of the Cape Breton Jets. So that's sent in behind George Mahinick's net. He'll leave that for his defenseman. Picked up on the right wing by Ben Fraser. Jordan Jackman leaning up the way now, 2-on-2 with Thompson. Kings looking for an equalizer. Now through a lot of traffic into the pads of the goaltender Burchell for the save. Now 96 seconds remaining to play in the middle period. Pardon me. There will be a big offensive zone draw here now for the Kings. With that top line of Jordan Jackman, Matthew Thompson, and Ben Fraser still at work. It's going to be won, though, by the defenders for Cabot. Up through the middle, picked up by James Macquarie, who's tied up there by Amiro, who is hanging off him on the back check. Thompson raced for it up the middle of the ice, but it is slammed back into the Kings' end. And picked up by Fraser. Quick change there for Kings. So the offside is waved off, as is the icing, as that came from quite a distance out. Fraser picks it off in the middle. Chance for a shot, and the pass to the perimeter, centered in front off a leg of a Highlander. And it's a shot from Corkum that comes to a standstill in front of Burchill's net. And up through the middle of the ice. Good rush there for Nadasti. Picked up the other way, a near counterattack there for Slavuda. He would have been up 2-on-1 there for HC Kings. Now jumping onto the ice for Sam Murray here in the final minute of play in the period. And walking in, McClellan did a dangle or two beautifully. And almost snuck that past Mahinick as well, but didn't end up getting the shot off as McClellan. That close to his second of the game toward the end of the second period. 20 seconds now left on the clock into the feet of McClellan. They got in onside, but it came immediately out of the zone as Nadasti sent that into the corner. Amiro looking to get that up the ice now with 5 seconds left in the period. Maybe one last chance here for Jordan Jackman. He's going up against the whole team. Slavuda looking to pull that back for a toe drag wrister at the end of the period, but he is unable to do so, and that will bring a conclusion to the end of the second period, where the Highlanders still lead by a 1-0 score here after 40 minutes of play here. You're watching the 2026 Maritime Under-16 AAA Hockey Championships here on High Button Sports. Stick around here for the third period. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so for some more action here at the Maritime Championships. And hello everybody and welcome back to Tyne Valley. You are watching the 2026 Maritime Under-16 AAA Hockey Championships. After 2 periods of play, the Cabot Highlanders really playing to their brand of hockey here so far, leading by a 1-0 score heading into the third period. Just a single goal to speak of off the tape of William McLennan. In the first period, no goals since then. And we got a shot total after the second period here. Highlanders out shooting the Kings by a 21-12 margin. So not allowing the Nova Scotia champions a lot of chances at the net at all. So if we're talking game plan here for the final 20 minutes, it's pretty clear for the Kings. Get a few more opportunities on the net and get the goaltender Hugh Burchill moving around just a little more here. And hold off a Cabot forecheck, which has been very imposing at times here in this game. As we get underway here in the third frame, comes back to Makar Sidoric for HC Kings, and up for the captain, Jordan Jackman. Jackman will one-hand spear that up to his teammate Ethan Lemoyne. Lemoyne jumping on the top line here in the third period for Kings, joined by Matthew Thompson. The all-90s line here for HC Kings, 91 Jackman, 92 Lemoyne, 93 Thompson. As it's off a leg and in, as HC Kings was jamming at it in the Cabot zone. They get off to a good start here in terms of puck possession. They'll try to get it in low now, but it's stripped there at the line by Cabot, and the Highlanders will take it back the other way. Andrew Jones, what a move on the shimmy shake move to the forehand, then the backhand, and lets the shot go, and it's caught by Mihinick in midair. So mixing up the lines here to begin the start of the period here for the Kings anyway, looking to get some offense going. And are looking for an answer here in this third period as the Highlanders win the draw in the offensive zone. Small exchange of passes in front of the Kings bench and thrown toward the net, but knocked away. Some pressure down low as Jones almost got the pass there from McClellan, as Jones is knocked down by a Kings defenseman, Corkum. McClellan tries to hold it along the wall. He's over at the hash marks, is going up against Demiro, and then Jones threw a hit. And it'll roll back to Corkum in behind the Kings net. Now onto the close side for the Kings left winger, Frazier. We'll send it to the far blue line for Daniel Landry, who will sift that up through the middle on the backhand. It's a long-range shot that's blockered away with ease by Mihinick. Now several Highlanders changing. As Frazier is up through the middle and is going to come into a huge collision with Rolly McCaddy. And McCaddy slid all the way back almost into the corner of his own zone after being knocked down at the blue line on the Kings rush. And Cabot came down the other way, although they went offside, so we get a stoppage. And a couple of words being exchanged between Mason Cole, the Kings, and Rolly McCaddy for the Cabot Highlanders. Still early on here in the third period. 17:58 to play here. In our second of 11 games here in this weekend-long tournament. As it's shot into the zone by Cabot. Picked up with time and space for Cade Romaine. Romaine looks up the ice but will coast to center. And McCaddy will take it away. Shot in on the second attempt for Kings. Knocked to the right side by Burchill. There's an item lying on the ice, looks like a neck guard perhaps. We're going to get a whistle anyway, so that'll get taken care of as it's iced down the length of the rink by Cabot. The only game of the day here for Kings. They're back here at a 12:30 p.m. start once again tomorrow. They'll take on the St. John Vitoes. And then tomorrow night against the Western Rebels at 7:30. So the Kings will get a little more rest today, but have their doubleheader day coming up tomorrow during day 3 of 5 of the tournament. And as mentioned, the Highlanders will play today later on as well against the Rebels, as that ricocheted off the glove of Birchill. It was a long-distance shot off the tape of Cade Romaine. We get some rowing going on in front of that net. But finally a whistle and a stoppage of play as Kings will change up here quickly. 17-11 now left to play in the third period. That's what the Kings need here if they want to even up this game. A few more shots. Challenge the goaltender Birchill just a little bit. A formidable opponent of a goaltender to try to beat, especially in tight championship level games like this. As the Kings will throw that deep into the zone, the shot off the stick of Siderick was high up off the glass. Siderick handles it and throws it up over the head of Birchill. Birchill got a piece of that with the glove, but couldn't handle it much. James Beaton punches it out the center ice. It's shot in by Poirier. He'll give chase to his own dump. Handle along the wall for Nick Rancelli. Tried to play it up the wall, and the Highlander is going to lose his stick. Kolp tries to walk into pressure, but give away to Poirier. Poirier from a tight angle. Up and wide of the goal. Holding it in is Matthew Beaton. Takes it into the corner. Cade Tenard laying the body in on a Kings defender. Going to get some help there from Poirier. As Tenard working after possession of that puck. And Weston will come out of it for the Kings. And it's carried up to center. Siderick gains the red line. Takes a bounce off a Highlanders defenseman. Kolp jamming at it. And steered aside by Birchill as the puck only rolled in front of him. Andy Murray on the counterattack. His teammates are changing, so he's alone. And is off the stick of Weston. And back out to the center ice area in front of the benches. Weston on the backhand. Goes D-to-D to Siderick. And fresh off the bench is Matthew Thompson. He'll go for a skate in. Thompson one-on-one. Oh, sticking out the toe there. That time was Birchill. Tougher save than it looked for sure for the Highlanders goaltender. Thompson on the second attempt was trying to wrap around. Ethan Lemoyne jumping in there as well. Couldn't hang on to it in behind the Highlanders net, and it is just gotten out of the zone where Havercourt will play back to his defense. Skating up the ice is Brett Boyd, but he almost tumbled there in front of the scorekeeper's bench. He will recover and send it into the corner, and now in behind George Mahinick's net. Ethan Lemoyne gets the breakout started. This top line for the Kings looking for an answer, or at least a goal at this point, to try and even up this game here against a very stingy defensive team, the Cabot Highlanders, as we know from watching them this year. Have only allowed 56 goals in 33 games over the regular season. The next best defensive team in terms of goals against, the Eastern Dukes, and they allowed 82 goals. So a stark difference between Team 1 and Team 2 there for sure. Is certainly the Highlanders' calling card. And something the Kings are pushing to disrupt here with 14:40 to play here in the third frame. Mason Cole in to take the draw in the O-zone. He's trailed there by Ben Frazier, but the Highlanders won the draw instead. But Frazier on the clear kept it in. Frazier stops up along the ice, and a great place deflection by Slavuda just high. Had a wide open look on the far side of Birchill, froze the goaltender. And now the other way, Highlanders on top of the crease, and Jones himself had a wide open net he was looking at. And outstretched with the glove was Mahinick, but Jones bobbled it in the crease. Perhaps it got caught in his feet, as an excellent setup on the play by William McClellan, who has been all over the place here today for the Cabot Highlanders, as both teams get two of their best chances of the game here, a quarter way through the third period. McClellan going in against Cole. There's a signal from the back linesman here that something was wrong. Looked like the wingers were a little too eager. So the same centerman will go at it again. It's one to the slot area in the Kings zone. Over to the left wing and taken away by Cabot. Landry pinching in a little bit. There's a pair of Highlanders wingers in there. That's Jones. And now back to Landry. Trying to shoot it through the screen, and Slavuto with a great effort to block it for his team. Landry went for the dump in, and it will hit the inside of the boards inside the Kings bench. Just barely missing the backup goaltender there, Joseph Saunders, who is seated to the right side of the player's bench. Nobody was hurt, though, it looked like, or hit for that matter. 13:44 to play in the period. Draw coming up in front of the Cabot Highlanders bench in the neutral zone. The Jackman line back out there for the Kings. They've got a lot of ice time here in the first 6 minutes or so of the third period as they're looking for an answer. Down by 1 to the Cabot Highlanders. And Cabot will dump it in. Started with Jones, and Nadasti will get on his horse. And a great pinch, and from a tight angle, pops out to Havercourt. And he had a second to get a shot off there, but a well-placed stick by the defender, Lemoyne. Centered in front as Jones tried to punch that back to Havercourt for a second chance. But the goal will become dislodged on that play. 13:22 to play here in the third period. The Highlanders still leading by 1 here at the Maritime Championships on High Button Sports. And to take the draws, James Macquarie wins it clean. Back to the line, padded rebound. A couple of cracks on top of Minhanick in front of the crease as a swarm of Highlanders come in there and tried to beat the Kings stopper down low. Right on top of that was Havercourt again, who has been hungry for a goal in this game. And the pressure continues on for these Cabot forwards. In the mix now, too, is Cohen Phillips, who went down. He's back up to his feet. Brett Boyd holds the line down low for Havercourt. Walking out of the corner, will pass it off at the hash marks along the wall, and almost batting that out of midair was Macquarie as it ricocheted off the shoulder pad of the goaltender George Mahinick and wide. The Kings getting outmatched here on this shift by the Highlanders, but they'll break up the center with it. Thompson thought about the center, will shoot it down low. Burchill kicks it aside, and the rebound came out to Lemoyne, but he got handcuffed there and couldn't get a quality shot off his backhand. McCaddy chases it the other way for the Highlanders, and Thompson towards center ice. For Lemoyne, he's in 1-on-4 right now as his teammates were changing. And he still managed to get a somewhat dangerous wrister through to Burchill. Challenge to block that aside, and it went up and out of play into the mesh here at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center in Tyne Valley. Based here in the tournament, about a 30-minute drive west of Summerside, Prince Edward Island here this week. Home of the Western Rebels, one of 2 teams in PEI in this under-16 AAA Nova Scotia League. The other team being the Dukes, who play out Charlottetown. Stewart had that for the Highlanders over the center ice logo, staying away by Lively for the Kings. And Corkum will maneuver that up the other way as chipped in, devoid of icing here for the Kings, and they'll get a pair of forwards down low. And there's 3 Highlanders there in close proximity, as well as the defenseman Amiro pinches in way down low and behind the net and look for the no-look spin in front, but it's right onto the tape of Rolly McCaddy. McCaddy going in 1-on-1 and takes a big check at high speed from Corkum. He'll rub him out on the boards as his D partner tries to sift his way through the pressure the other way as Lively will get that up and out of the King's end. Landry slaps that hard around the dash and is kept in at the line. Highlanders over to Landry from the wall, looking for that backdoor pass, but nobody was home there for Cabot to tap it in past Mahinick on the back door. And up through the middle, a counterattack the other way. That's Charlie LeBlanc from the perimeter. It's blocked in front. Now Kolb tried to get that off, but he fanned on the shot altogether. And now the Highlanders in a little bit of back and forth here on the stretch of play. And that time McClellan made an extra move at the blue line. And his team will go offside with 10:43 now on the clock here in the third period. McClellan will line up for the draw outside of the Kings defensive zone, rather, going up against Culp in the draw. And Romaine has it now for HC Kings. Out there on a pairing with Alexander Glover. And now Glover has it in behind his own net. Andrew Jones providing a formidable forecheck right now. And up through the middle of it is Landon Kolb. Lets it go and patted away. It was looking low. Glove on Hugh Burchill. The Kings have been starting to place some shots very well here in this period, but still have not been able to solve Hugh Burchill, who has just been on fire here lately in between the pipes here for the Cabot Highlanders. Now the Highlanders back down the other way. That's Andrew Jones leading the entry. Look for the drop to Sam Murray. Lost a handle on it. It's past to Romaine. Now Jones is checked there by Glover, the defenseman. He's going to shake it off, though, for the center off the bench, and a good opportunity for Macquarie that had the puck skip away from him. And Brett Boyd, while more of his Highlanders teammates are changing, as well as some Kings, will shoot it into the corner. Mahinick way out of his goal to get it as we enter into the latter half of this third period. We haven't had a goal in more than 40 minutes of play. The only goal of the game, William McClellan on the power play in the first frame for the Cabot Highlanders, who still lead by a single marker. And it comes up to Slavuta for Kings. A little bit of an awkward pickup, though, so it comes back to Cabot. Nadasti gains the line. First man in is Macquarie, who will lay the body on Weston, forces a turnover and shot along the ice there, and comes to Havercourt after it was knocked aside by Mahinick. Now the Kings will go up for a skate with it. 3-on-3 roughly attack as Mason Cole is tied up there behind the play. Trying to throw that hit. Zapop to Makar Sidoruk. D to D now. Weston through a crowd. Cole, oh, he had a wide open look there as Burchill collided with a King in front of the net. There's no call off that one as Nadasti will break through on the play the other way. Looking to center that in front of Mahinick. He had a pair of teammates parked there, and it didn't go for either of those teams. Now Ben Frazier into the zone. One-on-one. A hard shot low to the ice. Again, kicked aside by Burchill. Emiro couldn't handle it for Kings, and into the zone by Tenard for the Highlanders. Curling around out of the play is Stewart, who will go for a change for Cabot. And Corkum will swing it around. Some time and space to operate here on the right wing for Frazier. Goes to Emiro on the close side. Slavuto is tied up there against Daniel Landry. And it comes back to Frazier. He's going to skate it himself. Goes in one-on-one against Landry, who will tie up the big forward from Kings. Held at the line by Emiro. Nobody in the net front area, and Jackman has to get on his horse over there. Going up against Landry. He'll get in front of the Kings captain as Daniel Landry is lying on his stomach with the puck under there as well for a second. And it's enough to buy the Highlanders time to get the puck up and out of the zone. And Miro looking for a call that time after getting tied up there with Sam Murray. He's not going to get it. Been some close calls here in the third period, but the whistles are away and the players are playing away here with 7:10 to go in regulation time. And McClellan picked it up the far way against Emiro, who comes out on top in that battle. Jacob Emiro up through the middle of the ice. Some room for a shot, and it's kicked away by Burchill with a Kings forward breathing down his neck and taking away his eyes. Still came up with the save for Cabot. Counterattack for the Highlanders as Macquarie will soften that in. And up for Jackman. Off the bumper to Lemoyne, joined by Thompson. He's going to get knotted up there by a Highlanders back checker. We've had continuous play here for the last few minutes at least, as Nadasti will cut into the slot area, and that is fought off with the blocker of Mahinick. Now around the boards, Thompson picks it up on the left wing, will reverse it for Romaine. Return to Thompson, who now has some runway. A 3-on-2 forms here for Kings through the middle and past both Lemoyne and the second Kings player out there, Cason Lively, as Jackman went to the bench for HC Kings. Representing Lower Sackville here this tournament as the Nova Scotia champions. We're the third ranked team out of all Nova Scotia teams in regular season standings after Cabot and the Basin Armada, and second to the teams that made the provincials, as the Armada did not play in that tournament. They were put out by the Dartmouth Voyageurs in round one of the Nova Scotia playoffs. It's kicked up by LeBlanc, who kept it in the zone. a soccer-like play there for the forward from Kings. And a rapid attempt for Neufeld now. Finds his defenseman, Sideruk. What a block off the backside of McCaddy. Second attempt, that's I'm Landry laying out the block of the puck as the Cabot Highlanders not afraid to get in front of some heavy shots from the Kings point here with just over 5 to play in the third period. And it's in the feed as Weston is unable to handle it for Kings. Sideruk has to retreat. Andrew Jones eyeing him up from in front of Mihinik's net. And now Weston tried to force that up the middle, and it's bobbled and taken away, and Jones throws the hit. He's going to knock LeBlanc off the ice, and the Kings will change up. Now down to less than 5 to play here in the period. Cabot still up by 1, taken away by Jones. In front of the net, jamming at it is Murray, taken away. Nadasti back toward the front of the goal, in and away, loose in the crease, scores! A big one with time ticking down in the third period. And on his stomach, Andrew Jones puts away the trash and doubles his team's lead late in the third. And took a lot of commotion in front of the Kings goal. And Jones, another one of those players buzzing all day there for the Highlanders, just looking for their proper chance. And they got it as it bounced loose to the right side of Mihinik. And he dived out there in contention with a Kings defender who was trying to slap that puck out of harm's way. Was a second too late to Andrew Jones with a big goal for his team late in the third period. So the Kings have their back a little bit more against the wall here with time ticking down in game 1 of their tournament. Andrew Jones, 8 goals on the season and 26 points overall. Third on his team in scoring on the campaign, second amongst forwards. As the Highlanders will play it smoothly up the center ice. And Sam Murray trying to shake off Slavuta, who's giving chase. Going to be dropped back here for Nadasti. Skating up the ice with it is Boyle. Sent it past Mihinik's net. No icing on the play as Murray gave chase. And Cole on the quick touch up to Ben Frazier. Lone for Slavuta on the left wing side. Stripped by Murray in the neutral zone. And both teams will get some changes here. So Highlanders will try to shut it down here for the next 4 minutes. Playing their style of game for sure in this one. Keeping the opposing shots low and getting a couple of goals while they're at it. As a shot right up into the air and up over the head of Corkum. He'll glove that down to himself. Out there on that pairing with Jacob Amiro. The outlet pass is in behind Matthew Thompson. And Landry will elevate that almost to the ceiling. Picked up on the football style pass onto the tape of Cohen Phillips. Phillips has a knack here for the Highlanders of putting himself in position on breakaways. Number 20 for the Highlanders. Very speedy forward for them. And he had a close chance there, but it was turned aside by Mihinik. Thompson is in his own corner for Kings. Time winding down, now down to 3 on the clock here in the third period. Jackman will force a hard backhander in behind Hugh Burchill's net. It's up the wall for Phillips. And will basketball hop over the tape of Jackman. Cade Romaine dancing in. A good alert stick there by Boyd. Held up by Jackman at the line. Keep an eye on George Mihinik in the Kings net. He's now out at the hash marks on the other end of the ice. Maybe a 6-on-5 play coming up here for the Kings in just a moment with 2:20 on the clock. They're trailing by 2 right now. Just moments ago, Andrew Jones finding the 2-0 goal for the Cabot Highlanders to advance the score for his team to 2-0. We'll see here after the change if Mihinik will head it for the bench. It looks like he is. So a 6-on-5 opportunity coming up, but first a timeout going to be called here by HC Kings. So a tight-fought game all the way through. Neither team giving the other much light of day in terms of high-danger scoring opportunities in the slot area or otherwise. The goaltenders sharp, especially Hugh Burchill, who has faced some challenges throughout the third period as Kings has poured on some pressure in an effort to tie the game. Scoring opened here all the way back in the first period. William McClellan with the opening goal on the power play. And we played more than 2 periods of hockey without an additional goal. It was 1-0 Cabot all the way through. And with about 4.5 to go in this period, so a few minutes ago, Andrew Jones with a huge insurance marker for the Cabot Highlanders, who have a busy day ahead of them and definitely want to come out of day one in their position up a win. And what a way to do that. If they're able to hang on here in the next 2.5 minutes, then some revenge over the Nova Scotia champions. There's going to be a discussion going on at the Cabot Highlanders bench. Perhaps they were just figuring out who was supposed to be on the ice at what time. It looks like everybody is satisfied from the officiating. So a big draw coming up to the left of Hugh Burchill in the Cabot net, deep in the Highlanders zone. And Cade Tanar is going to be kicked out of the draw for Cabot. Ryan McGinnis will have to step in against Jordan Jackman. Jackman, a very strong player on the face-off, but is going to lose at that time to McGinnis. It's rolled up around the boards and onto the tape of Daniel Landry, who will shoot it down the middle of the ice. He was looking for the open net, but will miss just to the left side of the cage on the right end of the ice. And an icing call against Cabot. So we'll do that again down the ice with just over 2 minutes to play in the third period. St. John Vito's and the Eastern Dukes coming up next here in Tyne Valley. Puck drop for that in roughly an hour, as both teams are at the rink getting ready here. The Vito's will open their tournament with that game. The New Brunswick champions, they beat the Moncton Thunderbirds in 5 games, the New Brunswick final. As the Kings win the draw, it comes back to Jackman. We'll go down low to Thompson, exchanges with Jackman. Top of the circle, he stuttered on the cross-ice pass, but still managed to get to Romaine. Now Jackman, a hard shot suddenly from the perimeter toward the net, but it hit a Highlanders defender in front. Jackman crossways, Romaine the shot, shouldered away by Burchill, rebound. Oh, and a wide open look from Cole was wide of the net on the short side and is sent down the length of the ice. Once again, that one a little closer to the open net, but nonetheless wide. So with 88 seconds remaining in regulation time, the faceoff will come back down to the Cabot Highlanders zone. The Kings will make a few changes. They'll keep some of their big scorers out there, like Jackman and Mason Cole. Jackman will go into the draw against Merrick Stewart. And the Kings captain wins it back. Frazier let it go through traffic. The shot was well wide. Finds his way to Amiro in front of the Highlanders bench. A pair of Kings in low behind the Highlanders net. Lemoyne held it. Now for Frazier at the blue line. Attempting to chip that out is Stewart. The second attempt just barely gets across the line. And it is rolled down the ice there by McGinnis. So the Cabot Highlanders will get a huge change in here with a minute left in the hockey game. That pass across is going to miss Weston. It comes back to him off the pass from Amiro. All the way back in his own zone. Jackman struggling to get up through the middle with it. And that's played up for Lemoyne off the entry from Weston. Trailed by Jackman. And held in at the line by Weston. At least for a second now. Got down to Jackman. Time winding down. 36 seconds on the clock as the Kings trying to get set up for 1 or 2 more chances here. Frazier kept it at the bench, but not for long, as the Highlanders will punch it out on the opposite side of the blue line with 25.4 seconds left, which will just about seal this one for Cabot. Unless we get a couple of really, really quick goals here from the Kings. But the Highlanders here on a 2-game Thursday will come away with a big start to their Maritime Championships here, getting their revenge on HC Kings, who beat them in the provincials in Member 2 a couple of weeks ago. Romaine walks in, and that was turned aside by Burchill. A great look there for the defenseman, pulling out some shiftiness that time for the Kings. But it won't be enough, as the Cabot Highlanders will take Game 1 of their Maritime Championships in their revenge tour, so to speak. They'll get revenge over the Kings, and a look for revenge over the Western Rebels later tonight as the top-ranked regular season team from Port Hawkesbury will play this game to their will and take the 2-0 victory here to open their week in Tyne Valley. And Hugh Birchill with the shutout, holding the Kings off the board in this one. We'll see how many shots here from the public address here in just a moment. There's no shot clock here in Tyne Valley. But we'll keep it near to the ice as we'll throw it down for player of the game presentations.
Here are your post-game presentations. Please welcome to the ice, representing the tournament committee, Tracy Ballon. First, beginning with the Kings Hockey Club, player of the game, keeping things close for his team in this one, goaltender number 72, George Minniman. And for the Cabot Highlanders, player of the game, perfect in this one, number 30, Hugh Birchill.
So not much of a surprise for either team on that one. Goaltenders George Mahinick and Hugh Birchill earning their respective player of the game honors. As the Cabot Highlanders get off to a favorable start here in their Maritime Championship campaign here in Tyne Valley, downing HC Kings in a close-fought 2-0 matchup here to end off game 1 of 3 here in Thursday's 2026 Under-16 AAA Maritime Hockey Championship action here in Tyne Valley this weekend. Thank you for tuning in for this one on High Button Sports. My name is Luke Diamond. We'll catch you again in the next one here in Tyne Valley, and so long for now.